The final battle for your soul is here. Every single day of your reality, today and tomorrow, is decisive. Every single thought, every single second of every hour will either make you or break you. This is good for thought. Let's roll. What up, all you wonderful, beautiful people out there, all you Nazarenes out there, everyone that has been part of this journey for a long time. Y'all know who you are. Huge shout out to you. I'll make sure to shout you out individually at the end of the video. All of you new people that have joined this mission and movement, welcome to the fam. It's so good to see you here. If you landed on this video by accident, just know that there's no such thing as accidents, and that means there is a celestial, universal reason for why you're here. To all of you that don't know, my name is Nazarene, and this is good for thought. So just as I said in the intro, I really want to talk about the crucial time that we find ourselves in. Someone will say, well, every time is crucial time, but actually the days that we are living in is very crucial. Everything before this was just a false dream. Also, I want to talk about what we have been up to, what I have been up to. Please excuse the cars. Also, I want to talk about what Sasha Stone said about Trump and Putin on the Prove to Me That You're Alive podcast. I think it's very important to get into that, and I think that this sort of format of a video will be a last one, meaning that, you know, we're walking around and talking like this. I will start, you know, revealing everything and doing videos more of this kind of format on the Soul Seek Journal channel, where, you know, I'm going to talk about everything that's personal, everything that's actually, you know, going on in my life and everything that I'm up to. I think it's important because, as the title of that channel says, you know, the mission is, you know, to seek your soul, and I'm sure that a lot of you will find yourselves in the stories that I will share. So, as I said in the intro, these days that we are living in is unlike any other days. And when we had Chief Phil Lane Jr. on the Prove to Me That You're Alive podcast, shout out to Chief Lane, he said something very important, something that solidifies what I have been talking about, what we have been talking about on this channel for many years, that we are in a time of great change, that we are in a time of the apocalypse, in the time of the unveiling. And you know, someone like Chief Phil Lane, being a chief from an actual native tribe to the Americas, and then hearing, let's say, someone like a Sasha Stone, and then someone like me that says that in the Vedas, call it the Slavic Vedas, but as I said before, the Vedas is nor Hindu nor Slavic. Vedas just means to know, that the point, and please excuse the cars, that the Vedas and the teachings and the prophecies that were passed down generations speak of this time of Svarozhic Day, as we call it in the Slavic culture, the end of Kali Yuga, as you call it in the Hindu culture, that time is upon us. I talked about a while ago that the way we look at it from the Slavic tradition is that, by going by the Gregorian calendar, that's starting with the year 2000, and obviously, jump starting the process in what we call the end of the Mayan calendar in 2012. And so this process will last till about 2050, and 2050, 2055, give or take. And this time is absolutely crucial. Why? Because we are actually being put to the test. It reminds me of the book of Revelations, the four horsemen, the just those crazy destructive themes and images of the judgment day, and I think more importantly than the world, meaning the planet, being destroyed, is us being put to the test. So what kind of test are they? It's physical, it's mental, and it's spiritual. And for some people, either one of those could be the toughest battle. And we're gonna get into more of that later, because I want to share with all of you how some gems on how you can help yourself, and the things that you should be looking out for while you are in this personal individual battle. And it's very personal. It doesn't go by families, it doesn't go by nationalities or countries, it goes individually, these battles. So stay tuned to that. But on that note, I want to talk about the battles that I have been going through, and I don't want to rant for a long time. I'm just gonna talk about the key highlights. Again, if you want to hear the full story, I'm gonna post the full story on the Soul Seek Journal. So starting with 2020, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that the kind of illusionary dream state that we were living in up to 2020, rapidly changed with the coming of, the pandemic. Obviously, those of you truth seekers out there know that if an event like this is staged, that means that event is in fact covering up for something else that's actually going on. I don't want to talk about exactly what that is. We can get into that in a different video. But more importantly, that starting with 2020, that's when the true individual battles have started, and so they have started for me. First, my pockets got hit. That was the physical part of it. When I watched and sat through my father passing, and his passing was very extremely painful, and it was the first time that I sat through that experience. Reminds me that Sasha Stone talked about his own experience that was like that, and after that, this, I didn't realize at the time how hard and how meaningful that, that happening will be. But it did show up later in my spiritual battle. But so my father passed, and then we started this media company. My wife, my beautiful wife, and I, we put our heads together. We reached out to Daniel. Shout out to my brother Daniel, one of the greatest people I have ever known. And we kind of came together and decided that we will no longer just do other businesses, other works. We will actually professionally do what we were always destined to do. Something that we love to do is to reach out to all of you. So then when we lost Daniel, and so my father, and then Daniel, and then me finding out that my niece was diagnosed with cancer, only 16 years old. A kid, never smoked a cigarette, never even smelled vodka. So that part of the battle for me was the mental part of the battle. But those happenings, those personal tragedies would actually impact me on my hardest battle yet, which was the spiritual battle. And so last week, well, for the past 6 months, I was suffering with tremendous migraines. I'm a fighter for many years, so I'm not new to concussions, I'm not new to pain, but these migraines were just inexplicably terrible, where I would get literally physically paralyzed for 2-3 days at a time. I even landed in the emergency about a month ago. But anyway, so you would think that this is my mental or my physical, but actually that was the spiritual side of the battle. And why it was the spiritual side of the battle is because throughout these horrific episodes of physical pain, I was tested with my knowing. I was tested with my belief. But again, we don't call it belief, we call it the Vedas, we call it the knowing. So my knowing was tested. And shout out to Romania poet, the greatest poet of all time, the most beautiful wife ever. She pointed out to me that look, your trust in the Almighty is being put to the test. So last week, for 3 days, I had this crazy episode, right? Like physically I am fit. I'm in good health. I don't drink. I don't smoke. The vape. I don't inhale the vape. So all of a sudden, for 3 days, I felt like I was dying. And some of you will say, well, look, it's a panic attack. I know exactly what panic attacks are. I know exactly how to get myself out of the panic attacks. I tried hallucinogens in life. I smoked weed before for a long time. So I kind of knew when those panic attacks set in. This was something completely different. For 3 days straight, I would wake up to and go through these episodes, scary episodes, where I was feeling like I'm about to lose my consciousness, even to the point that I would wake my wife up in the middle of the night, and I would tell her to have the 911 ready, the emergency, the ambulance call ready, because I'm about to lose my consciousness and die. Shout out to my beautiful mother, because she actually came over the house and would sit with me when my wife wasn't around. And that was just tremendous, her doing that. And so it was, and I'm forgetting, but the biggest point of that, that incident was that when I would go to the bathroom and look in the mirror, I seen death in my eyes. I seen the same type of death that I seen in my father's eyes when he was passing, and it was freaky, man. It was scary as shit, man. So, and I didn't know that I was going to come out of it. I thought maybe, I'm finally, losing my mind, losing my marbles, man. But thank God, thank the Almighty, I feel like I went through a death experience, meaning that a part of me needed to die in order for a new part of me to be reborn. And it reminds me that, see, in the Slavic Rahman cultures, the tradition was that every 30 years a man or a woman would go to on their 30th birthday or the 60th birthday. They would go into what we call the dalmane. They're these small pyramid type structures, and a person would go in there to die overnight in order so a new you would be reborn, and that's how you went through your life cycle. So I think because we no longer do that, because our lifespans are so much shorter nowadays, and I know a lot of you are gonna scream, no, it's actually longer. Well, the evidence say different. If you truly dig into the information of the ancient peoples, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, well, especially 2,000 years ago, before the coming of Christianity, that you will find out that matter of fact, our ancestors lived much longer lives, and that's why they went through these cycles. But anyway, so and now for the last couple of days, I am so refreshed. I feel so refined. I don't want to jinx myself. I feel I'm a lot more in control. So this is what I want to pass down to all of you, because I know that a lot of you are going through similar things. Now, for you, well, again, shout out to the most beautiful woman in the world, my wife, Romania, poet, because this also comes from her wisdom. She said that whatever you lack in, let's say if it's material, or it's physical, or it's spiritual, that's what you will be tested in the most. And she is absolutely right. A lot of you may have doubts in your physical health. You will be tested there. A lot of you may have doubts in the mental. You will be tested there, or the spiritual. So any one of those could be the hardest for you. But this is the answer I got throughout this experience of how you can go through this experience, having some type of armor to protect yourself, and making sure that you don't get lost in these experiences. Because trust me, a lot of people will get lost. A lot of people will lose the battle. So the important thing is, this is, take this jam and use it wisely while you're going through your battle. Is I realized that and shout out to my wife, because she pointed me in that direction, but I actually felt it. I went through it, is that whatever you were slacking in life, meaning, let's say you lied to someone, and it's kind of been sitting there, a splinter in your subconsciousness, and in your soul, kind of starting to rot from the inside. If you hurt someone, if maybe you had doubts in yourself and the Almighty, go back to that point. Go back, if you can, and make amends. But I'm not telling you to go find the person you lied to or whatever. Maybe if you can, it's wonderful. Go, tell them the truth, fix that point. But most importantly, you have to fix that point within yourself. You have to amend yourself, make amends with yourself. I'm not talking about a guilt trip. We talked about on this channel, there's a big difference between guilt comes from ego, from imposed things by religion and society. But remorse, if you truly sincerely feel that remorse, you feel remorseful for that situation, you could have done better, but you didn't, and it's been sitting there. Go and make peace with that situation. That will help tremendously. That will be a guide for you in which direction you should follow, because again, this time is crucial, and a lot of people won't make it. A lot of people will be left behind. It's part of this sort of spiritual natural selection, if you will. I think certain souls are being selected to continue into this, lack of a better term, new earth, as Sasha Stone likes to call it. I would just like to say that it's the Swarovich day. So now that I shared that, I want to talk about what the things that on a global scale that we are being lied about, the things that we are being attacked about. And one of these things are these two world leaders, one here in the United States, the other in Russia. Something that Sasha Stone said about them, I think, and I said this already, that it's by far the greatest trickery, and I will kind of touch on it a little bit to explain what do I mean, why. Sasha Stone said, well, look, at the president, I don't want to say the name again, but at the president of the United States, look at the administrative orders that he has signed. Well, these administrative orders mean nothing. Just because they were signed in some states, against abortion, sure, that's great. But humanity needs to be changed from the core. And if the president was, this type of, world leader on our side, the actions would have been completely different. There's no need to be joining any political party, and there's no need to stack up billions and billions of dollars in order to activate that leadership of humanity. A lot of you may say, well, look, maybe that's the whole trickery behind it, that you needed someone to get into the ranks of the political elites. Well, I will say, excuse me, and remind you that we know that presidents of countries have bosses. We call them sponsors, we call them donors, the same dynasties. And you can trace the leader of Russia, the supposed political leader of Russia, the supposed political leader of the United States. You can trace them back to the same dynasties, the same Khazarian, clans that have been deceitful throughout all this time. The actions of, and the doings and the deeds of these so-called spiritual leaders are much different. They're seen, you can't, they're not just done through charity events once in a while. And again, you can scream at me and you can say, well, look, he needed to do this or that in order to get up there. And I still stick to the story, and also because I have had a chance to shake the hand of, the president of the United States. It was a while ago, and so I think that that's the biggest, trickery. Another biggest trickery that a lot of people will fall for is AI. And I talked about this before. As AI gets more and more advanced, we will start to feel, a lot of people will start to feel that you are communicating to God. And that's the biggest trickery. And why do I say that? Because now people go to search those answers from a chat GPT, from a DeepSeek, where the place to search for answers is always the love, the intuition that is the foundation for everything. So we will start to separate from that more and more. And I'm sure that this was, the whole plan of the people behind it, the soulless people. I'm glad that again, Chief Phil Lane, said about the indigenous people of all around the world, from Slavs to Irish to Hopi Indians to the Aboriginal Australians, because that's something that we have said on this channel. But in Slavic culture, with the writings of Dostoevsky and Gogol, we know that there are those that are the natural, with a soul, people in the world, and then there's soulless ones. And in Slavic terms, we call them человек, which is the people with the soul, and люди is the soulless ones. Again, Gogol, Dostoevsky wrote about these things. A lot of people thought that they were writing these ghost stories, but in fact, they talked about the vampiric, and the soulless ones that roam around us, that come from a whole different lineage of where we, the natural forces come from. But again, we should thank these people. We should thank these soulless creatures, is because we are the ones that sent them to us to be tested, to build this immunity. And trust me, I know a lot of you will say, well, look, I went through so much pain. I know because I have also, all of us have had so much pain. And I'm so sad to, admit this, that we did this to ourselves in order to really, truly test ourselves, to open up our best qualities and put our characteristics to the test, man. It's like a mob boss sometimes said, once said that, your best friends are not your best friends. The enemy is your best friends, because those are the people that truly, put you to the test, give you a challenge, something that helps you build and become stronger. Going back to, because I touched on it a little bit. We touched on the president of the United States. Same thing with Putin. You can, has life got better in Russia? Absolutely. But the way, the society is so cleverly being ruled over there, it is evident to me that, again, that man has a boss. That boss is tied to the other, bosses and the other dynasties from around the world. Sometimes it's hard to imagine. It seems like, multipolarity, and China and Russia and the United States, they're different fronts, the European Union, but the fact remains that nothing has changed. And it's so simple to see how it's one ruling, because ask yourself, when 2020 came, shout out to Jim Dillinger, he calls it the plague. When the plague came, just think about how every country reacted. Every country reacted the same. If they were not, under the same rulings, then each major power or each country would, have the right to deal with something like that the way they want to be dealt with. Even the same, look at the manipulations of the same, so-called traditions of flags and national anthems and armies and so on and so forth. It's all the same thing, just in different parts of the world. There's a big question mark around North Korea, because North Korea and like, a country like Kyrgyzstan are those two places that are kind of outside the box, and it makes you question, well, who's behind them, and why are they really so isolated. But I do have information on the North Korean elites as well, but I'll leave that for another video. I didn't want to go super long, but it's been a half an hour, so I just want to say this, that to all you Tomex out there, to all, to my brother Jim Dillinger, my brother David Voronyuk, my brother Alan Tate, Melody out there, someone like a Willow Roots, obviously my family, my wife, obviously, but I'm talking to all of you that were God sent to me, and all of you are the reason why I get the strength to keep going. I truly know, I truly believe that we will make a large impact, and it's not, to rule the globe or to make the world better, but it's to leave those seeds of knowledge and information for the next generation. And so all of you individually, all of you have impacted me greatly, man, and I really love all of you, like, truly, man. A lot of you, because I think the volume again popped off. A lot of you, little do you know, with every time you leave a comment or whatever, you help me tremendously, because a lot of times, especially being shadow banned and things like that, it could be discouraging. But because all of you still stick with us, still stick with the with the mission and the cause, man, y'all give me, like, a battery pack in my back, man. So huge shout out to all of you, man. Huge shout out to Jana also, a great friend of my wife's, also has been a part of this journey, man. There's much more, many of you, man, and so shout out to all of you. And I just want to say, for my final saying, I just want to say, stay strong, no matter what kind of battle you are undertaking right now, be it physical, mental, spiritual. You will get through it. It might be scary, it might be super discouraging, but I know, I don't only believe, but I know that you will make it, man. Huge shout out to all the guests that have been a part of the Prove to Me That You're Alive podcast. A lot of things are going to change on this channel. We're gonna up and up now. We gotta up our game. We gotta get more clever, man. So a lot of good stuff is coming, a lot of good new guests. But shout out to the Sasha Stone, the Bart Sibril, the Dr. Colwells, obviously Jim Dillinger, man, my boy, man. Huge shout out to all of you brothers, and many more of you that have been part of the journey, man. So yeah, uno to all of you. What I'm saying? We're gonna be stronger, and our kids will have a better world, man. I truly believe in that. You see, humanity has gone through this 4 times already, but the important thing that civilizations have gone through all of this 4 times before, and it was different elements through different times. And the reason why we have failed all the time is because civilization is the ultimate killer of this world. It's the ultimate killer of humanity, and this is why we must go back to culture, cult ra. So yeah, man, I went for super long, man. If y'all still here till the end, man, be on the lookout, baby. This was Nazarene. This was Good for Thought, and you know what we say. Ooh, no.